It's not the scream that destroys you. It's the voice you love most sounding scared in your ear. Because when fear wears the sound of family, your brain doesn't investigate. It obeys. And if you've never lived through something like this, you'll swear you'd never fall for it. Until the call comes at 2:17 a.m. Until your body reacts before your mind does. Until you're making a decision with shaking hands, and the only thing you can think is, if I don't act fast, it'll be my fault. The phone rang at 2:17 a.m., and the sound didn't belong in my apartment. It didn't sound like a normal call. It sounded like an alarm that had learned my name. The room was dark except for the thin blue rectangle of the screen, and in that light the walls looked farther away, like my home had turned into a larger, emptier place. My body was heavy with half-sleep, but the moment I saw the caller ID, something primitive snapped awake. It wasn't a thought. It was a reflex, like touching a hot stove and pulling away before you feel the pain. My hand moved, my thumb swiped, and I answered before the second ring could finish. And then I heard her. Her voice arrived in my ear like a needle sliding under the skin. Too intimate, too real, too immediately effective. The sound carried everything my nervous system had been trained to trust. The specific rhythm of her breathing, the soft rasp on certain consonants, the tiny pauses where she always tried to stay calm, so I wouldn't worry. My heart started running so fast it felt like it was trying to climb out my chest. There are moments when fear doesn't come as panic. It comes as a sudden silence inside your head. Your thoughts don't race, they stop. The brain shutters itself like a house in a storm. The voice sounded frightened but controlled, like someone whispering because they have to, not because they want to, like fear being held down by force. In the background there was noise. Something faint and muffled, like movement over fabric, like the interior of a vehicle, like a room where sound gets swallowed. It wasn't loud enough to identify. It didn't need to be. My brain filled in the worst possibilities without permission. My mouth went dry. My throat tightened. My tongue felt thick, like it didn't belong to me. I sat up so hard the blanket slid off my legs, and the cold air hit my skin like a slap. The voice said something urgent, something about not hanging up, about listening, about there not being time. I barely processed the words. My body processed the tone. My hands started shaking, a fast tremor, as if my nerves were trying to vibrate the fear out of my bones. Adrenaline poured into my system like someone opened a valve. My vision sharpened, but my thinking narrowed. The room became a tunnel, and the only thing at the end was that voice, frightened, familiar, mine to save. The voice said danger in the simplest language possible. Short phrases, urgent instructions, a time limit that made the next minute feel like the last minute of my life. It said there were people. It said they were close. It implied consequences without naming them. It didn't need details. Details create room for doubt. The human brain, under threat, doesn't need proof. It needs a target. I try to ask questions. I tried to anchor the moment in reality, but reality was slippery. Fear makes your mind sweat. It makes facts slide out of your grip. The voice placed the story inside me like a parasite, an accident, a mistake, a situation that escalated. Authority was mentioned, police, officials, procedure, words that carry the weight of law and shame. Not screamed, not dramatized, just stated as if it were obvious. And because it was her voice, I believed it the way a child believes gravity. The most violent part wasn't what the voice said. It was what my brain did. My brain started rewriting my recent past at high speed, scanning for guilt like a metal detector scanning sand. When was the last time I spoke to her? Did I miss a call? Did I ignore a message? Did she mention something I forgot? A memory flashed, me rolling my eyes at a harmless worry she'd voiced days ago. Another flash, me saying I'm busy in that sharp tone that always leaves a bruise afterward. A third flash, her quiet, okay, sweetheart that I didn't think about until now. And suddenly my chest hurt. Guilt is not just an emotion. It's a physical sensation. It tightens your ribs. It presses on your lungs. It turns your stomach into wet stone. The voice used that. Not by accusing me, never that. Accusations trigger defensiveness, but suggestion triggers self-punishment. The voice made it clear there was a way to fix this, a way to keep things from getting worse, a way to solve it quietly, quickly, before anyone else had to know. Secrecy is how fear isolates you. The voice steered me away from verification like someone guiding a sleepwalker away from a balcony. It warned that calling others would cause consequences, that telling anyone would escalate, that there wasn't time for debates. It painted speed as love and hesitation as betrayal. My brain nodded, even when my mouth didn't. I stood up without realizing I had moved. My knees felt hollow. The floor was cold under my feet, but I barely felt it. I walked across my apartment as if movement could create a solution. My body needed action. Action feels like control.
My phone was slick in my hand from sweat.
I wiped my palm on my shirt, and it didn't help. I was sweating everywhere, back, neck, forehead, like my body was trying to slide out of itself. The voice told me what to do in small steps. That's how they do it. One step at a time, so you never have to face the whole thing and realize how insane it is. Your mind becomes a staircase, and each step feels unavoidable once you're on it. I opened apps I barely used. I typed numbers that looked unreal. My fingers felt clumsy, like they belonged to someone drunk. I kept making tiny mistakes because my hands wouldn't stop shaking. The voice stayed with me. It didn't scream. It didn't demand. It stayed close, breathing softly, dropping reassurance in my ear like sedative. You're doing the right thing. You're helping me. Just a little more. Don't stop. The words were less important than the emotional effect, the illusion that if I complied perfectly, I could rewind terror. That money was a lever I could pull to lift someone I loved out of a pit. My heart pounded so hard I started to feel dizzy. The pulse wasn't only in my chest. It was in my throat, my wrists, my temples. I could hear it, a wet drumbeat that made every second feel loud. I remember the moment my brain tried to surface. A small thought rose through the adrenaline. Why isn't she calling the police? Why is she calling me?
But the thought didn't land.
It slipped. Fear doesn't argue. It smothers. Another thought. If it's the police, why would they?
Smothered.
Another. Why can't I just?
Smothered.
Every doubt felt like a selfish luxury, like a betrayal, like I was choosing my comfort over her survival. And that is the hook. They don't just create urgency, they create moral pressure. They turn verification into cruelty. Because if it's real and you hesitate, then you hesitated while someone you love suffered. The guilt of that is unbearable. So you don't hesitate. You obey. My breathing changed. I noticed it only later, when I tried to remember the moment clearly. I was breathing in shallow little sips, like someone drinking air through a straw. My shoulders were up near my ears. My jaw was clenched so tight my teeth hurt. The voice gave me a deadline. Deadlines are magic spells. They turn I should check into I can't. My eyes kept flicking to the clock as if the numbers were a weapon pointed at me. 2 minutes. 90 seconds. A minute. Time felt like it was leaking out of the room. I made the transfer. A confirmation screen appeared. A simple message. A tiny sound. And for a fraction of a second, I felt relief, real, chemical relief, like taking the first full breath after being underwater. My body loosened. My shoulders dropped. I swallowed. My eyes stung with tears I didn't realize had been building. I waited for the next instruction. But instead, the call ended. Not dramatically. Not with a threat. Not with shouting. Just gone. A deadline. A silent screen. And in the quiet that followed, the apartment sounded different, as if my ears were now too sensitive. The fridge hum felt louder. The distant street noise felt closer. Even my own heartbeat sounded like a stranger in the room. My brain began to thaw. Thawing is painful. Thawing is when sensation returns, when numbness breaks, and you feel everything you were spared during the crisis. I stared at my phone. My hands were still shaking, but now they had nowhere to go. No task.
No instruction.
No goal to chase. A cold wave rolled through my stomach. I called her back immediately. My thumb moved fast, hungry, desperate. No answer. I called again. Voicemail. Her normal voicemail greeting, warm, calm, casually alive, played into my ear, and something inside me cracked. It wasn't panic. Panic is hot. This was cold. This was the moment your mind recognizes it has been in the wrong reality. My skin prickled. The hair on my arm stood up. My face went numb. I called again, and again, and again. Each ring felt like a countdown to my own humiliation. No answer. I sat down hard on the edge of the couch, and my knees started bouncing uncontrollably. A horrible thought tried to force its way in. What if it's real, and she can't answer now? What if? I couldn't choose which nightmare to believe. I needed a second anchor, a second line to reality. So I called her on the other number I had, the one she used sometimes when her main phone was charging. She answered on the second ring.
Sleepy.
Confused. Normal.
Alive.
And my entire body reacted like it had been shot. The adrenaline that had been holding me upright turned toxic. My stomach lurched. I gagged, dry and sharp, as if my body was trying to throw up the fear. My vision blurred with sudden tears. She asked what was wrong, and I tried to speak, but words wouldn't come. My throat was a locked door. All that came out was a strained sound, half sob, half breath. How do you explain that you heard her voice begging? That you believed it? That you obeyed it? How do you confess that you handed money to a shadow because it wore her sound? I didn't tell her everything at first. I couldn't. Shame was rising too fast, like floodwater in a basement. It filled my chest. It tightened my skin. It made my face burn. I hung up quickly, too quickly, and immediately regretted it. Because now, even my mother's real voice felt like a fragile thing, and I had just dropped it. I sat on the floor with my back against the wall, phone still in my hand, and the room felt too large again. My palms were damp. My fingers were cold. My body kept doing trauma math. Tremor, pulse, nausea, sweat. I looked at the confirmation screen again. The money was gone, and the absence of it didn't feel like loss yet. It felt like a sentence, like the world had judged me. I tried to reverse it. I tried every button that promised control, cancel, report, help, support. The interface was polite, slow, indifferent. Nothing in it matched the emergency my body still thought I was in. My brain replayed the call, searching for a mistake the way you search your pockets after losing something precious. Was there a hint? A wrong word? A breath that didn't match? A background noise that should have warned me? But every detail felt perfect. Every emotional cue fit her. Every crack of fear in the voice sounded exactly like the fear I'd heard in her before, in hospitals, in stressful moments, in those rare times she couldn't hide it. Which meant one of two things. Either it was real, and something still horrible was happening, or it was fake, and someone had done something unspeakable. They had turned my mother into a weapon against me. My hands began to shake again, but differently now, less frantic, more sick. A tremor of violation. I called my mother again, forcing myself to stay on the line longer. I asked questions in a calm voice that didn't match my body. I listened to her complain lightly about being woken up, and the ordinary annoyance in her tone became proof, like a doctor showing you an X-ray. See, she's fine. And yet my brain didn't fully accept it. Because trauma makes you distrust relief. Relief feels like the moment before something worse. After we hung up, I sat there in silence and felt the aftermath. The hollow drop when adrenaline drains, the crushing fatigue that arrives like a wave, the strange buzzing under the skin as if my nerves were still electrified. My mouth tasted metallic. My tongue felt thick. My hands wouldn't stop sweating. I tried to sleep. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her voice again. Her voice sang my name the way she used to when I was a child and I'd had a nightmare. Flashback. I'm 6 years old, crying in bed, and she sits beside me. Her hand is warm on my forehead. Her voice tells me it's okay, that monsters aren't real, that I'm safe. And now, in my adult body, a monster had used that exact sound to open me like a door. The violation wasn't just financial. It was psychological burglary. They hadn't stolen money. They'd stolen certainty. The next morning, if you can call it morning after a night like that, my eyes felt like sandpaper. My face looked wrong in the mirror. Pale, puffy, older by a decade. I tried to eat and couldn't. My stomach rejected food like it was an insult. I drank water, and it sat heavy, sour. I called the bank, the support line, the authorities. My voice sounded strangely calm when I explained it, as if my brain had separated me from my own humiliation to survive it. But inside, I was in pieces. Every time someone asked what happened, my body reacted like the call was happening again. Heart spike.
Sweat. Nausea.
My hands would shake so hard I'd have to grip the edge of the table. And always the same thought, sharp as a blade. How could I be so stupid? But stupid isn't the right word. Stupid implies carelessness. I wasn't careless. I was terrified. There's a difference, and it matters. Because fear isn't a weakness. Fear is a system. It's designed to keep you alive. And someone had learned how to hack that system using the most trusted signal in my life. That realization didn't comfort me. It made it worse. Because if fear can be hacked, what else can? The next days were a blur of calls, forms, and the slow, humiliating unfolding of what had been done. The money trail went into the dark. Accounts, transfers, layers that looked like deliberate fog. I learned, with a nauseating clarity, that my problem was not rare, that there were scripts, that there were groups, that there were victims every day. The idea that my mother's voice could be replicated became a poisoned thought I couldn't stop chewing. How did they get it? That question lived in my throat like a splinter. Did they pull it from a video? A voice message? A social media clip? A casual post where she laughed in the background? Did I give it to them without knowing? Guilt came back heavier, more personal. Maybe I made it easy. Maybe I exposed her. Maybe my online life, my recordings, my little harmless pieces of digital existence. Maybe those were the raw materials for this nightmare. I started scrolling through old posts with a sick feeling, like searching a crime scene for fingerprints. Videos where she spoke briefly. A holiday clip where she said my name. A voicemail I'd once saved because it made me smile. Each one now felt like evidence. Each one felt like a loaded gun I'd left on the table. I deleted things in a frenzy that felt like trying to wipe blood off my hands. I changed passwords. I tightened settings. I turned my phone into a fortress. And it still didn't undo what had happened. Because the real damage wasn't in the accounts. It was in my nervous system. For weeks, every unknown number made my chest tighten. Every call after 10 p.m. made my stomach drop. Even when my mother called in the middle of the day, a tiny part of me braced for a trap. That tiny part made me feel like a bad child, like an ungrateful daughter, like I was betraying her by doubting her. And guilt fed itself again, endlessly. Guilt for being tricked, guilt for doubting, guilt for distrusting, guilt for existing in a world where love had become a vulnerability. Sleep became fragmented. I'd wake up with my heart racing, convinced my phone had rung. Sometimes I'd check call logs, eyes burning, and find nothing. The phantom ringing was in my head. I started to notice how my body carried it. A constant tension in my jaw. A soreness in my neck, like I was always bracing for impact. A tightness in my chest that felt like a belt pulled too hard. Even my hearing changed. Sudden noises made me jump, not in a normal way, but in a full-body flinch that felt humiliating. Trauma isn't only memory. It's posture. It's muscle tone. It's a nervous system that learned the wrong lesson and refuses to unlearn it. The voice on the call became a loop. Not just the words, mostly the tone. That "I'm trying not to cry" tone. That "help me but don't make it worse" tone. That tone that bypasses logic and goes straight to the part of the brain that only understands two things: protect or die. Sometimes, in crowded places, I'd hear a woman laugh with a similar cadence, and my skin would go cold. My brain would twist reality for a second, and I'd think, that's her. Then I'd remember it wasn't, and shame would hit again. I stopped trusting my perception. That's the part people don't tell you. After something like this, you don't only distrust the world. You distrust yourself. You start interrogating your own instincts like they're suspects. Why did I answer so fast? Why didn't I verify? Why didn't I demand proof? Why didn't I call someone? Why did I let urgency control me? The answers are always the same. Because love is fast. Because fear is faster. And because the scam wasn't designed to convince my intelligence. It was designed to hijack my humanity. They didn't need me to be dumb. They needed me to be a daughter. The worst moment came later, weeks after the fact, in the most ordinary setting possible. My mother and I were on the phone during the day, talking about something boring, groceries and neighbor weather. Her tone was casual, safe. And then she said my name in that specific way, just a normal sentence. And my body reacted as if I had been slapped. My throat tightened instantly. My eyes filled with tears without warning. My hands started shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. The call was real. She was fine. The topic was trivial. But my nervous system didn't care. It had memorized her voice as a trigger. That was the true theft. Not money. Not even peace. They had stolen the purity of a sound. I tried to explain to her, carefully, without making her feel guilty. I didn't want her to feel unsafe in her own voice. I didn't want her to feel like she'd been turned into a weapon. But the truth is, she had. And the person holding the weapon had been me. That realization made me sick. I began to obsess over prevention because obsession feels like control. I read everything. How voice cloning works, how little data it can take, how rapidly it has improved, how criminals use it to create family emergency calls. I learned about the patterns, the insistence on urgency, secrecy, and immediate payment methods. I learned about how the brain under stress loses critical thinking capacity. I learned about how shame keeps victims silent, which keeps the cycle alive. I learned too much. Knowledge didn't calm me. It sharpened the horror. Because the more I understood, the more I realized this wasn't a one-off miracle scam. It was scalable, industrial. And the scariest part wasn't the technology. It was the psychology. The technology is just a key. The lock is your heart. I started imagining other victims. An elderly father hearing his son's voice crying. A mother hearing her child whispering fear. Someone alone, with no one to call, no one to check with. I imagined their hands shaking the way mine had. I imagined their brains freezing the way mine did. And then I imagined them being asked later by a calm representative, "Why did you do it?" As if love were a mistake. As if panic were a choice. As if the human nervous system could politely request a pause. The shame I'd been carrying started to shift. Not disappear, but transform into something else. Anger. A clean, hot anger that finally had a target. Because what they did wasn't tricking someone. It was emotional assault. It was exploiting attachment. It was weaponizing the most intimate trust we have. And that anger mattered because it gave me a reason to speak. I told friends, even when my voice shook. I explained the pattern, the call, the urgency, the secrecy. I told them to set a family safe word, a phrase only real family would know, used to verify emergencies. I told them to hang up and call back, to verify through a different channel, to breathe before obeying. And every time I said it, my stomach tightened because part of me still felt like I was confessing a sin. Sometimes, at night, the loop would return. I'd lie in bed and imagine how they made the voice. Some technician in a room, feeding audio into a model. Some stranger listening to my mother's laughter, breaking it down into data points. I'd imagine the first time they played it back and heard it sound right. Did they laugh? Did they treat it like a toy? Did they feel powerful? My skin would crawl. I'd pull the blanket up as if fabric could protect me from sound. Then I'd imagine the call again, the moment my thumbs swiped to answer. I'd imagine an alternate version of me, calmer, smarter, who pauses and verifies. But in that alternate version, I'd still hear the fear, still hear that tone, still feel the pressure of time. And I'd realize something terrifying. Even now, knowing what I know, if I heard it again, truly convincing, truly her, I might still break. That's the truth nobody likes. You can learn. You can prepare. You can create safeguards. But you're still human. And humans are hackable through love. Weeks turned into months, and the financial loss became paperwork, numbers, the kind of thing you can measure. But the psychological loss couldn't be measured. It showed up in small moments. How I stared at my phone before answering, how my chest tightened at unknown numbers, how I asked my mother to text instead of call sometimes, how I felt guilty for that request, how she tried to sound cheerful to protect me, how her cheerfulness made me ache because it reminded me of what had been stolen. It showed up in how I talked to myself. Before, my inner voice was critical but manageable. After, it became cruel. You should have known. You made it easy. You failed her. You failed yourself. Sometimes I'd snap out of it and realize my hands were clenched, nails digging into my palms. I'd force them open and see half-moon marks in my skin, evidence that my body was still fighting an invisible battle. Eventually, one day, my mother called me in the afternoon. The screen lit up. Her name, that familiar ring. My heart jumped. My throat tightened. But this time I didn't answer instantly. I watched it ring for a second longer than usual. And in that second, I took a breath. A single full breath, deep enough to feel my lungs expand. I answered. It was her.
Real.
Normal. Talking about something ordinary. And nothing bad happened. My body still tensed, still braced.
But I stayed.
I listened. I let the ordinary sound of her voice exist without becoming a weapon. It wasn't healing. Not exactly. It was practice. Because in a world where sound can be faked, you have to train your nervous system to pause, to resist the immediate obedience of fear, to remember that love doesn't demand you destroy yourself in 1 minute. Love survives a verification call. Love survives a pause. The scam didn't end when the call ended. It ended slowly, with repetition. Each time I verified, each time I refused urgency, each time I reminded myself that panic is not a moral obligation. And yet there are nights when I still wake up to phantom ringing. There are moments when someone says my name in a similar cadence, and my stomach drops. There are seconds when I think, if it happens again, will I be strong enough? I don't know. I only know what I wish I'd known at 2:17 a.m. That the most dangerous lies don't come with unfamiliar faces. They come with familiar voices. And they don't ask you to believe them. They ask you to love. If this story made your stomach turn, hold on to that feeling. Not because fear is good, but because it can save you when it's aimed in the right direction. Set a verification plan with the people you love. Use a family safe word. And if you ever get a call that makes your blood go cold,
Stop. Breathe.
hang up, call back.
Verify.
Because the next time panic tries to steal your hands, it won't sound like a stranger. It will sound like home. And that's exactly why you have to pause.